What's up, you lot? Nathan here, Human United. Let's talk about the state of United after our Everton match. Um, Speaking about the match, I do have a lot of notes I want to go over. Haven't put out a video for a few days. But first, about the game. Obviously, there was a report that we were looking to replace Ole with Poch. Came out from Manchester Evening News. Now, I'm American, okay, and I voted for Trump, so I don't exactly believe everything I read, which I think is good advice these days. So the fact that that comes out, you just take it with a grain of salt like anything else. But, there was this idea that, they leaked that out to try and test sentiment, which I think is LARPing. Or the idea that, they leaked this out to put pressure on Ole even though it's not true. I mean, Man United better be approaching someone, before this game. It would have been wise of them to approach anyone, someone like Poch, to say, yo, are you ready to take this job? Because if he loses this, he's out. We don't need to worry about Ole in, Ole out, that stupid, low IQ, bifurcated argument. This binary argument, are you Ole in or Ole out, removes all nuance from the conversation. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter. Ole's going to sack himself, okay? And if he lost today, he basically would have sacked himself. It wouldn't have been good enough. Maybe he would have had one more game. But if United's not doing their due diligence to have another manager ready, then we would all be annoyed. So don't read too much into that. Anyways, about the match itself, you saw Everton score first. The Lindelof lost a header. Wan-Bissaka was too far away from his man, and the guy scored a good goal. Credit to him. A lot of people did bitch about the match, about our lineup. I guess Goldbridge was going off. I didn't watch it. It was too early, so I ended up watching a VOD of the game. But I guess, he promised. He said, if we start McTominay and Mata, I'm going to go off. And he lost his shit. Obviously, I don't think, McTominay, I think, is serviceable, and I think he actually gets a bad rap. But as far as Mata, I'd rather have Van der Beek there. Van der Beek basically does everything Mata does, but better. So, yeah, I thought Mata was poor today as well. In any case, they scored first, no big deal. We replied immediately. Bruno knifing in for a Scholesy header, So this does remind me of one thing I want to bring up. I hadn't written this down, but it is something I thought of, which is you never see someone like Rashford score headers like that, And what's the excuse? Because Scholesy used to score headers like that all the time, and he's bloody 5'5". So Rashford should be scoring headers like that. A lot of people on our team should be scoring headers like that, including someone like McTominay if he's going to be in the team. I love to see our midfielders knifing into the box. That's something they don't do enough. And Luke Shaw actually got a cross off, and it was similar to against Fenerbahce, where I think Raphael let him get the cross in, to be honest. Luke Shaw has very little guile on the left, can barely create space for himself. Once he touches the ball to his inside, he's always going backwards, or at best sideways. But for whatever reason, he actually got a little bit of space this time, put in a cross. Yay. Really sick header from Bruno. GG. And then we scored the second goal, Bruno again, and Rashford laughably missed his header, but it went in anyways. And then we got a late goal, which is something we've been doing lately. I think it has been putting a little bit of a sugar cherry on top of some of our victories, where it was several games ago, might have been Newcastle, but it was 94th minute. We were already up, and then, the other team is stretched, and then Bruno played a pass to Rashford, who was in behind, which is where Rashford's best, in behind, running in behind, using his pace. He's basically a speed merchant, as I've said. Pardon me. But so that has been glossing some of our scores. We have been scoring some luxury goals or goals that we don't need late, and this is what happened again. But it was good play from Bruno. It was good for Cavani to stay onside. I'm smoking because this is low effort content, guys, and no one watches. I just want to get the repetition in, posting videos, whatnot. So yeah, it was good of Cavani to stay onside because we've seen a lot of our players not stay onside in those situations. So yeah, pretty comprehensive 3-1 victory. Don't know what's up with Everton. Apparently they're not as good without Richarlison. I never rated him that highly. But yeah, we'll definitely take the points. So this is going to give Ole more time, which I'm not really against. I'm not in a huge hurry to change the manager, but like I said, I think he's going to sack himself. Is he a great man motivator? No. Is he a great tactician? No. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's a decent tactician. One thing about this, and again, I'm trying to give you guys ideas that you're not going to hear on other channels. But one thing I think that makes sense here is that you can have a good tactician as like your assistant manager come in with all the tactics. That's usually what a lot of them are. But as far as being a man motivator, you want that to come from the coach, the manager himself. He's the person at the club with the most authority. Now, speaking of authority, I don't think Ole acts with any authority, and I don't really think the players respect him that much. I don't think he really has that gravel in his gut that you need. So it was interesting to see him come out in the press conference afterwards, and with a fire under his ass, talking about what was a pretty arbitrary point about us not getting enough time between our matches. So it was pretty arbitrary for him to come out like that. So maybe he's a little bit heated, maybe he's blowing off steam. Goldberg says, "Oh, this was all planned. They planted this story in the Manchester Evening News so we could come out and engender sympathy for Ole." I mean, Jesus Christ, man, what an absolute LARP, guys. That is just total conjecture. Let's stick to the things we know and not worry about the things we don't know, okay? In any case, international break now. So that sucks. But let me go over some of the things that I've been wanting to talk about, some of the ideas I had. This idea that managers, they come in and they need to give them a couple years to get their own players, or that Ole came in, he didn't get the players he wanted. First of all, you never get all the players you want. So I think it's stupid. It's just a totally disingenuous idea that managers are meant to get all the players they want, or else it's not fair. And our board has always thrown out the cash. Now, ideally, we would get new owners who weren't leveraging the debt of our club against the club. And ideally, we'd get a more competent, an actual director of football, not Woodward. But it's not like the owners have not spent money on this club virtually every transfer window. You may not like some of the signings, but I don't care if Mourinho signed a player, Ole signed a player, if Van Gaal signed the player. Manager is meant to use those players, okay? I don't care if he signed them or not. I think that's disingenuous. I think it's a low IQ. Another thing is the idea of Bruno playing deeper is something I really like. We've seen a penchant that he has to drop back and get the ball from our defense, which is a problem we have, is getting the ball out of our defense. And against Fenerbahce and against Arsenal, we just have no control of the midfield and we can't get the ball out of the back. Going to segue this real quick into us playing the ball out from goal kicks. Do me a favor, please. Let's just play within our means here, and let's just boot the fucking ball downfield so you can actually get like a half counterattack when the defense is still a little discombobulated. You win the second ball, and then you got some space in behind. You can make something happen. So let's not play the ball out from our back, especially when it's not working. But in any case, I'd like to see Bruno drop deeper, maybe put him in one of the quote-unquote box-to-box roles, which is, of course, like the word du jour these days. I think he could even play holding, to be honest, and I know that seems ridiculous. Depends who he's next to. I'm a proponent of 5 men at the back. That gives us width that we don't have otherwise, which I think is important. But I do really love the idea of Bruno playing deeper. You can put Pogba in the 10, give him absolutely no defensive responsibility, let him and Martial interchange, and give him no defensive responsibility. I think that would be sick. I think you could have Van der Beek at 10 as well. I think Mason Greenwood down the road is going to be a 10 as well because he's got really high football IQ. Also, I wanted to talk about Martial missing and the impact that had. I don't really know what that means, but I will LARP on Martial for a minute. People have been saying that he hasn't been playing well this year. I think he's just getting crap service. Now, when I see him with the ball, he's doing Martial things. I don't think he's sluggish. I don't think he's off form. I think he could be playing probably a little bit better, but the idea that he's been playing poorly, I don't buy it at all. Putting Rashford at the number 9 when Martial was out, it's so bad, guys. And I would love to see actually Martial play on the left with Cavani up top. Don't know if we'll ever see that. Once again, Ole's just a little bit too parochial in his approach. It's not really creative with his lineups, although he does tinker too much, but I'll talk more about that later. But I don't think he does anything that's sort of outside the box. I think he's always a bit too safe, which is consistent with his personality. He's kind of passive, pusillanimous, not really a man motivator, not, as Alex would say, give me some of this, guys. Give me some of this. Ole doesn't really have that. In any case, home field advantage, something I wanted to talk about. Home field advantage in sports is massive because of the crowd, and that's really the main reason. Now, some of the other factors are like, okay, well, you have to travel somewhere, you have to stay somewhere you're not used to, But these days, I don't think that's a big deal. Teams are flying if they want to, chartered jets, staying in these cushy hotels. not really that big of a deal. The main thing is the crowd noise, and you see it in literally every sport, and that's how you know it's true. In basketball in America, have these really tight arenas, and the tighter the arena is, like in Sacramento, the home field advantage is massive. And then you have a place like Oakland Coliseum where again, it's like such an open space. The home field advantage isn't as great, but it's the crowd that makes the home field advantage. One other thing about why we're good at home, this is kind of a joke, but if you think about it, Ole was off the bench virtually the whole game today at Goodison Park. And I wonder if it's because he doesn't have his stupid fucking iPad like he does at Old Trafford. So maybe that's the reason we're better away from home, because Ole actually spends time on the touchline, which I think is great. But yeah, it is kind of funny. I mean, we don't see him sitting cross-legged like a cuck, like he does at Old Trafford, looking at his iPad. So that's good. This idea that De Gea is like back in form compared to Henderson. Henderson looked really bad against Fenerbahce or whoever the Italian team, the Turkish team was, Istanbul. But De Gea would make like one save. One decent save in a game, be like, oh man, he's back. But like you look at the other two games that Henderson played before that, it's exactly what Henderson did, where he didn't have much to do, and then he makes like a completely, utterly world-class save. Like his saves were actually better than De Gea's. And it's not like De Gea was making 5 a game. De Gea makes one save, oh my god, he's back. Henderson's got no shot of coming back into this team. Whereas Henderson was making the same type of spot saves, and they're even better. So yeah, I don't really buy that. I like Henderson long term, and I wish we'd sold De Gea. I hope we sell De Gea in the offseason in general, because we can still get a lot of money for him, and I actually think Henderson's a better goalkeeper. Even if they were the same, equal in skill, equal goalkeepers, you get more money for De Gea, you sell De Gea. Henderson's a lot younger, so he's going to be long term. Okay, changing captains, people say, oh, we need to make Bruno the captain, yada, yada, yada. I would love for Bruno to be captain, but Bruno wasn't here when Ole appointed Maguire as captain, so you have to understand the opportunity cost involved in changing captains. Now, it's not like you can just willy-nilly just change the captain. There's opportunity costs involved. Like, it's going to hurt Maguire's confidence, whatever. It's, like, going to hurt even his career. It's, like, a severe lack of confidence in him. So, I mean, all I'm saying is that the timing matters. You don't just arbitrarily, willy-nilly change the club captain. Now, I understand putting the armband on Bruno if Maguire's not playing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't just knee-jerk change the captain willy-nilly. So just understand there is opportunity cost in that. I'm sure that Ole would like to have Bruno as captain down the road, and maybe even before the season's over, but you got to give Maguire a little bit of the time so it's not as much of a mark on his resume. Speaking of Maguire, real quick, I will reiterate, I think the reason he's playing kind of looks so weird lately, although today he did have his best game he's had all season, and it was his touch that led to the third goal, our last goal with Cavani. Got a nice little foot in there, and he was winning headers all over the pitch, which is his strength, which is one thing I say about Maguire, is he has certifiable strength compared to Lindelof, where Maguire can actually like dominate aerially, whereas Lindelof, I don't feel like he really dominates doing anything. He's kind of just average player. But in any case, I think Maguire was concussed from consecutive head injuries he got at the end of the last season. Then he went out to Greece and was acting a fool, been acting a fool on the pitch ever since then. So yeah, I think he actually has post-concussion syndrome. I'm not trying to larp too much myself, but if I had to guess, I think he like many other players needed a rest and never got it. There was a time when he needed a rest, beginning of this season, or even any time last season, because he played every single minute last season. Pogba was the same way. Bruno hasn't looked as good this season until today. I mean, today he did look a lot better. But in his last game, he turned the ball over like 30 times. Pogba as well. He played his 2 worst games for us in a row and basically has never really looked good this season. Although, again, today, I actually did like some of the things he did today. Didn't have a lot of touches. But a good manager would see that these players are knackered or whatever's wrong with them and rest them before it's evident to everybody who's watching on the pitch over consecutive games that they need a rest. So that does disappoint me with Ole, is that he's the one on the inside behind the scenes, so he should be able to tell these things, and before it becomes a problem, he can stick a fork in it, right? Not after it's obvious to everyone that it's a problem, right? So once again, I just don't think he really has the balls. Not getting enough out of our players. I don't really know what I meant by that. Marcel's gender form, already talked about it. Goldbridge had said something, this is Ole's way. Maybe it was one of his commenters, one of his Indian super chatters. I'm super excited to get some of those ruples myself one day, maybe a year or two from now. But they said this is Ole's way to hit out at the board because he's too afraid to say anything. As if Ole's playing these shit like the wrong players and then losing because he's mad at the board. He's trying to send subliminal messages to the board. I shouldn't even address that. It's so stupid. In any case, against the Turkish team, we did have Timothy Fosu-Mensah come on for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Totally useless substitution. I wonder where Ethan Laird is. He's going to give us a really offensive option on the right, which I think we really need. Outswinging corners, yeah, so this does annoy me. And then you did see that goal that the Istanbul scored, the first one with Demba Ba. He had Luke Shaw on the right side, so he's run all the way across the pitch to take the corner, which is good because I want our corners to in-swing. Outswinging corners are bad, in-swinging corners are good. But Luke Shaw played it short. So if you're going to run all the way across the pitch and then you're going to play it short, so you're just going to be out of position. That's why he was out of position, guys, because he took the corner on the right side of the pitch. He's left back. So yeah, playing it short, trying to ticky-taka annoys me. You got all our defenders up there. They're putting across. So yeah, I mean, if Luke Shaw's going to run all the way over there, then in-swing that corner and run back to your position. And real quickly, as far as Matic taking all the blame for that goal, I think that's ridiculous. He's not a defender, so someone needs to be back there. That's a leadership issue, And they say, oh, Mike Phelan was up there pointing at Demba Ba and telling our defense to get back, but Demba Ba actually started more around the penalty box, and then he advanced as we turned the ball over. So it's not like he wasn't cherry picking, okay? He wasn't cherry picking. He was at the box, and then he started advancing. So the fact that Mike Phelan was saying, hey, guys, what about this guy? It was already way too late. A couple other things. Roy Keane. Some people have thrown around the idea of Roy Keane be manager. I love the idea. I just think it wouldn't be the right time because we have Ole, who's a club legend, quote unquote, and then going from him right to Ole or right to Roy Keane. I don't know. I kind of think you need someone in the middle there. I don't know. I'm probably being stupid because it doesn't really matter what people say. They say, oh, they're just going with another nostalgic choice. I think Roy Keane's a proper manager. And like I said, you want to have someone who's at least a good tactician or a good man motivator or both. Roy Keane, I think, will be a good man motivator. There's no doubt about it. He's already proved that throughout his career. So I'm down with Roy Keane. Don't know if it would be the right time, but I'd be down anyways if they did decide to go with him. I'd love to see him manage our club one day. Ole maintaining stability, what it means to his employment. Okay, so this is interesting. The idea that Ole's, I think everyone should be Ole out eventually because it's not like he's the guy for this club long term. He was always just meant to be like a caretaker manager, custodian manager, or interim manager. That was kind of nice. Remember that? Yeah, I was not trying to get him hired on a permanent contract. In fact, the media created that happening. They had articles coming out. They were loving it, getting clicks, saying, oh, when will he get the full-time job? When will he get the full-time job? I'm like, yo, will you guys shut up? Because, Ole's at the wheel. I just want a joyride. This is a joyride. I don't want to give him the job permanently or else this joyride's going to end. So that was media manufactured. That was annoying. Don't trust the media, guys. It's the establishment. Fuck them. But what was I talking about? Maintaining stability. This idea that, okay, Ole's just come in to sort of bring some structure back to the club, get some stability, and then what? So how does that look? So if he comes back and brings structure to the club, maintain stability, we finish top four, maybe we win the FA Cup or the we get semifinal in Champions League, and then what? We're just going to lay him off? Like, how exactly does that work? How does he come in and bring stability to the club, but then we also just lay him off and bring in someone else? I don't know how that transition works. So I think at some point he's going to have to do bad enough to get laid off, or else we're not going to lay him off. Maybe we could have laid him off this summer. Said, God, well done, Ole. You got the best out of the team you could. Barely crawled across the line to get third place. Well done, mate. But, we made him permanent manager, just give him a contract, da-da-da. So that's not going to happen. But, when you say he's just here to bring stability to the club, well, then how does that turnover really happen except for the club not being stable? Because for him to get laid off, the club would have to not being stable. We have this great stability, but he lost 5 in a row and now he's sacked. So how exactly do we lay him off in that instance? In the instance that he's brought stability and security to the club. It's like a misnomer. I think it doesn't really make sense. McTominay's been getting a lot of slack lately. I'm not going to use the word agenda. I think it's like a totally low IQ way of rationalizing or avoiding critique of players, and or avoiding nuanced analysis of players just by saying, oh, well, your argument, you just say that because you have an agenda. I'm not going to address your argument. You just have an agenda. Once again, my eyes just roll back into my head. Whenever Goldbridge says agenda or ollie in, ollie out, my eyes just roll back into my head. But I think McTominay has actually been playing okay. I think he's definitely been serviceable. And it's interesting. I'm glad I remembered this, but there was a point in the second half against Everton where he played a pass and, it got an interception, but he got the rebound, and then he played another long pass and it didn't find the mark. And then I feel like people are just using that. Oh, well, he's still got to work on his passing because of this one instance in the game where he couldn't, complete like a 15 or 20-yard pass. It happened twice in a row. But I think the rest of the game he was great. So I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, God, here we go again. But, yeah, I mean, he definitely gets stuck in. He definitely wins header, and he wins headers, and it was a very scrappy game, So I do want to talk more about that. But anyways, I do think he gets a bad rap. I don't see a lot between him and Fred. This idea that, like, Fred is man of the match and McTominay plays shit every game. I think that's bullshit. I don't see a lot between them. I don't think Fred's a great passer either. I think they both get stuck in. I don't really like having both of them on the pitch at the same time. We're Man United, I want to go out there and attack. But this idea that Fred is like much better than McTominay, I prefer McTominay because he's taller, wins headers. But I see the usefulness of Fred too. Yeah, but they both snap into tackles, etc. So I think they're very similar players. What did I just say I wanted to talk more about? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, so it was a really scrappy game, and it was kind of pissing me off, I wanted us to really fuck them up, and I really wanted Ole to say, listen, I'm sending you in there, go fucking fuck someone up, because they were getting away with shit, and it was unsat. But I think, you also have to not lose your composure as well. So I think we actually did well in the end, and we didn't back down either, so that was good. Yeah, it went well. The diamond, I think the diamond only works when we have 5 at the back or 3 at the back, whether we're on offense, whatever. So we actually have width. So, but just seems weird to me because no one had ever talked about us playing a diamond before. We played it against Leipzig, and we won 5-0. And then we played against Arsenal, and we fucking got dominated. So, but after the win against RBL, everyone's like, "Oh my God, we got to play the diamond." No one had even thought of playing the diamond before, and now all of a sudden, it's unequivocally the only way that we should play. So yeah, guys, I think you need to take a breather, and I don't think the diamond's the way forward, but I'm gonna remain open-minded about it. But once again, I think you need to have 3 at the back, overlapping wing backs, and you can have a diamond in the middle. Otherwise, you're gonna have no width. And it's completely malleable in game anyways, so whether you call it a diamond or 4-4-2, depends whether we're on offense or defense. It's all just a bit silly. Ole being backed, didn't want players. Yeah, so I touched on this earlier, but, people will say, oh, Ole wasn't backed, he didn't get the players he wanted. Well, we don't even know what players he wanted, okay? The entire Sancho saga, Manchester United never said anything about it, never put in an official bid for Jadon Sancho, never addressed it at all, and neither did Ole. No, I believe that, if I had to guess, I believe that Ole wanted Sancho. But this idea that he wasn't backed, he was backed last January, he was backed in the summer, and he was backed the summer before. So, you're never going to get all the players you want. So, this idea that, oh, well, he didn't want this player, or he didn't want Van der Beek, so that justifies him not playing him. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You're never going to get the players you want. Your job is to manage the players we have. Bruno came in guns blazing, no coaching required. Is he just any old 10? I just think this is interesting. I'm not subscribing to it, but has anyone ever asked whether Bruno saved the team or just getting an actual number 10 saved the team last year? Because Bruno's actually been off form. I think I said this last video, not that anyone watched it, but I think he's actually been off form, after the first 10 or so games he had with us. He played, he was guns blazing until COVID, and then we came back, he was still looking good, and then he kind of started looking tired. And then throughout the most of this season, I think, he's been turning the ball over a lot, hasn't been doing as good, missed a couple penalties as well. I wish Martial took the penalties, because I want him to get the goals. Martial needs goals, he's a confidence player. But it is interesting to think, how much of our turnaround is due to Bruno, because people will literally say Goldbridge, et cetera, will say, oh, well, Bruno saved the club, we're Team Bruno, or we wouldn't be here, wouldn't have gotten third without Bruno. But I wonder if wouldn't have gotten third without any old 10. And, if we just having a proper number 10 instead of Pereira, how much of a difference did that make? Besides the fact that it's Bruno, who I do rate really highly as a player, but it is interesting to think about. Poisonous players or rudderless players. I remember when I jotted this down, I actually had a really profound point, and I don't really remember what it is. Poisonous players or rudderless players. Yeah, I'm going to have to skip that one. That sucks because that was going to be really profound. Players are overprotected. So I do think that Ole overprotects the players. I think it becomes a bit kitsch in the end. So I think it is possible, like in the press conferences and whatnot, where he just uses kid gloves too much, and his focus is always on protecting the players. I think sometimes, no, I'm not advocating throwing them under the bus as much as Mourinho did, but sometimes you need to let them know you got a little bit of a snarl, and that's one thing I don't think Ole has. So I think it is interesting to think about whether he overprotects the players. I think that's just his go-to, where he's going to always protect the players. But if you're never going to hold the players accountable, publicly, well, first of all, I have to wonder how much you're holding them accountable privately. And again, we have no information on that. We have seen no behind-the-scenes footage. All we know is what we know about Ole as a manager over his managerial career, and as a player, what do we know about him? Well, we know he's not like a fiery guy. We know he's not a loudmouth guy. Doesn't seem like an authoritarian. It's like, oh, the quiet assassin. Oh, So yeah, I really do doubt that the players really respect him or that he's really authoritative behind the scenes. I think it's a problem. I think it's why we're so inconsistent, at least one of the reasons. Playing within your means, I thought this is kind of interesting, but I do think that, when I play soccer, play soccer, I'll tell people, I'll say, dude, play within your means. If you suck, this is something I've always said. I'd rather play with someone who sucks and know they suck than play with someone who's good but thinks he's really good, because they just want to dribble, they just want to pass, or they don't want to pass, they just want to dribble, they want to shoot, they want to be Ronaldo, they want to score the goal they saw, on the highlights or whatever. And but when you have a player who sucks and they know they suck, they get the ball and they just pass it right away, right? That's great. That's fantastic. That's a great way to learn too. So this idea of players playing within their means, well, I think Ole needs to coach within his means. And this goes back to him being a little bit of a tinkerer. I think he's been trying to get a little bit too cute with his lineups. It worked out today. Again, no matter who we play, we're playing against 11 other people. Okay, so I think Everton had something to do with us dominating them, or us winning today. We didn't dominate, though. I do think we deserve to win. But obviously against Istanbul, Chelsea, Arsenal, some of the lineups he was doing, the players he's selecting, going with the diamond, not going with the diamond, different formation every time. Ole should coach within his means. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I'd like him to do. Ole resting players too briefly, Maguire, Rashford, etc. So this is the last thing I have, which was, we were all calling for certain players to get rest, and then, Maguire was on the bench once. I saw him on the bench watching the game, wearing his warm-up kit. Brilliant. Okay, that's what I want to see. But except we saw Rashford do that too, but again, just one game. These guys have been crying out for a rest. I think Rashford has been poor since he got injured. He's basically just been consistently poor with a few flashes here and there. But Rashford, Maguire, Pogba, yeah, they have definitely. I think you need, when you rest a player, don't just put him on the bench. Oh wow, he didn't start a game. You bring him in the 60th minute, and then he's starting every game thereafter. It doesn't suffice. So Ole, you got to have some stones. You got to have some backbone here, mate. In any case, those are all my notes. So I was very diligent with this low effort content, me talking in front of a webcam with no editing, but I was diligent enough to make some notes. Hope it was provocative for whoever manages to watch this video besides my buddy Ryan. And I don't know who we're playing next, but we have 2 weeks off for international break. Sad face. But yeah, obviously Ole bought himself more time with this win. I think we'll continue to be inconsistent, but we won, 15 games on the trot, 10 or 15 games on the trot last season, so we do have the capability to be consistent. In my mind, I just don't think Ole is a good enough manager to achieve that again. I think we kind of blew our load there. And again, when you see the players not playing for him, it's an issue. And that's why we had to get rid of Mourinho, because they decided to stop playing for him. I think today, if we lost, depending on how we lost, he would have been sacked. I think it would have been justified. In any case, I'm not butthurt that he's here or not there. but I think eventually, I mean, is he going to win the Prem with us? Is he going to win us the Prem? Is he going to win us the Champions League? Doubt it. Highly doubt it, guys. Okay, well, thank you. Cheers, everyone. And I'll probably keep doing these because they're so easy. And maybe one day I'll be getting those Indian rubles myself. Cheers, guys. Take care.